This here is a diagram of an organisation that I have worked with recently. This is how they structure their programs. So, uh, Blue Peter is a sailing school where they'll take at-risk youth out sailing in southeast Queensland, in Moreton Bay, and they teach people to sail. They camp for a week, and it's a lot of personal development as well as skill development and mentoring for a lot of young people. And so this organisation structure is very flat as a structure. So when a program's not running, there's 3 people employed full-time by the organisation. One of those is the owner, and he is he oversees everything, and so he oversees all of the ranges of these different parts of the business. He also has 2 staff, and one of those is in charge of maintenance and logistics of expeditions and vessels, and so he's generally keeping check of the maintenance log and continually servicing engines and boats to ensure they're all working for a program. And also the other person's in charge of kind of program management and paperwork and ensuring we have dietary requirements of students and participants, as well as giving support when expeditions are out. So they're either on the radio, on the phone, in contact with the Volunteer Marine Rescue, and they're sort of the person who works from the office and is in charge of making sure all the legal hurdles are overcome. When a program's operating, however, you'll have 8 or more leaders generally, and so there may be 30 students, and you have each of these roles assigned to one of those leaders, and they sit on a very level playing field. Although some of the roles have more of an importance in regards to safety and how the program operates, everybody is equal in terms of their opportunity to voice their opinions and other ideas, and that's done by a few meetings, and I'll discuss that in a moment. So the Blackwatch person is in charge of leadership of the program pretty much, and supervision, and these roles are assigned to different people on different programs. It doesn't it's not something that you join the organisation and you're given one of these roles and you're stuck with that. Depending on what your skills are and what your areas that you want to work on are, you can pretty much do any of these roles after a little while, and you can move in and out between all of them. And so, the Blackwatch person will often facilitate meetings between people. They'll be ensuring that anything that goes wrong is communicated to them, and they'll then write a report on the trip once we get back from the expedition. So the meetings we have as an organisation, there's usually 3 main meetings. One is a morning meeting, and that happens every day on program, where you have 2 different, everybody from that program comes, and so you've got students, staff, facilitators, and other support staff all come together out of their tents before breakfast onto the beach, and there's stretching and other activities go on, and while that happens, everybody's asked to explain how their night went and what they've been experiencing, if they had any troubles, if any gear is broken, if they need support, if they're sick, anything like that. And they also are in charge of running one of the stretches. So everybody's given that opportunity. Absolutely everyone within that organisation is given a chance to speak, given a chance to express their ideas, and it increases everybody's empowerment and inclusivity of the organisation and creates for a more diverse workspace. Now, there's also a meeting that occurs just between the skippers that have roles in the expedition, and they're usually coming together each day to discuss how that day is going to run. So the route plan for the trip that day, what the weather conditions are like, what we can expect from our journey there, on the journey back, whether we need to reef sails if it's too windy, put helmets on students if the boom is likely to hit somebody in the head because of the strong winds. Those kind of things are factors considered, as well as making sure every boat has food, water, sunscreen, a spare hat, and safety equipment that's necessary on each boat. And so that meeting is run in a very similar fashion. The Black Watch leader will facilitate it, but every other person is given the opportunity to present and share their ideas and ask questions about how that's going to run. So the final meetings are ones that don't actually occur on program, and they're the ones before or after the program. There'll usually be a briefing at the start to explain who the students are that need to be looked out for more, and what their needs are, and who they're going to be paired with, who they know already, and what we can do as staff to make that experience better for those students and for the other students as well. And the other meeting is a debrief meeting, which happens after program. Once everything's packed up, all the students and participants are gone, there'll be generally some beers and some chats about how the operations run, and if there were any issues, any maintenance that hasn't been logged that needs to be done, and any problems between staff or between students, and sort of what can be improved on for future programs. And so again, that's not run by the Black Watch leader, that's run by the person who owns the business, and he comes and he discusses that with all the staff. Everybody's asked to speak, and it's a very inclusive conversation that helps the development of the business and all of the staff at the same time, and is a reason for their success on their programs. Now, finally, there's that's pretty much how that runs, and it's a very flat system, especially on a program, because everyone's very equal. Like we had that circle diagram before, everyone's given the opportunity to speak and have their voices heard. There's lots of diversity and creativity in discussions, and that improved communication that's created from that different structure is definitely beneficial in this small size organisation. If it was a much larger organisation run by a national body and it was done all over Australia, it would be a slightly different structure. They may have a similar thing on the lower levels within that organisation in different areas. However, as a whole organisation, it wouldn't be run like that, because it would be impossible for the person in charge of it to understand what's going on at every place and what needs to be improved on at each location. So pretty much to sum up, there's definitely a place for a flat hierarchy, because it's very valuable to communication. It allows different people to express their ideas. It allows creativity to flow, for diversity to be increased, and for staff to feel more supported and more valued within their work. However, once an organisation grows beyond its capacity to support a system like this, it's not valuable to have, because it lacks productivity once it reaches a certain point, as well as leadership and some other qualities, as mentioned before. So, it's an incredibly valuable piece of information to know, and should be used very regularly in organisations that are working towards a mission within a small scale. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope you took something valuable away from this. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.